What's going on, everybody? And today we're going to be talking about thoughts and expectations with 1.6 and Last Stand. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the build that I'll be using for this napalm production run. Both sniper rifles have brutal deadly. The M44 has prepared, the M700 has competent. My pistol is an X45 with expert and brutal. My vest is reckless with armor, damage to elites, and ammo. My mask, I would like to have a refreshed, but it has damage to elites and enemy armor damage. The knee pads have damage to elites, enemy armor damage are the main components. The backpack has armor rolled onto it. The gloves have marksman rifle damage, crit chance, and damage to elites. And the holster has armor rolled onto it. Every single piece of gear is rolled to firearms. It is a glass cannon pure PvE build only. Now this build is mainly focused on one shot, one kill, any AI that you run into, except for bosses. Bosses do require a little bit more shots, as you'll see at the end of this video. However, as long as I can keep my distance, I take them down pretty easily and pretty quickly, within at least half a clip. So let's go ahead and talk about what this video is really about. This video is, as I stated at the very beginning, about 1.6, my thoughts, my expectations, and my thoughts and expectations on Last Stand. So let's go ahead and talk about Last Stand, because that's the thing that we're kind of still in the dark about. We don't really know anything about. So with Last Stand, in my opinion, when you look at the map, you have the incursions, which are Clear Sky in the top left, Dragon's Nest, which is in the middle left, and you have Falcon Lost in the bottom right. Now with Last Stand, I think it's going to be either a horde mode or a defend the base type mode. Now the two best places that I can picture this are based on different approaches. Last Stand to me is probably going to be a PvE update or a DLC. Now remember, 1.6 is a patch, not a DLC. So 1.6 will be free for everybody. We will all probably get it on the same platform at the same time, but don't quote me on that. And then DLCs such as Last Stand, Survival, and Underground, PC and Xbox will get it first because of an agreement, and PlayStation will get it about a month later. My opinion is if they do it in the top right, in that open area next to General Assembly, there is a big room right there where nothing is going on in-game content except General Assembly that people are running to get the holster currently. So if they do it in the top right, I believe it'll be another incursion or a defend the base type game mode. Now if it were me, I would personally like to see Last Stand be a horde mode, and it has to be at the base, just like Survival is. Survival and Underground are focused in the base, which is why I come to think of this idea as a defend the actual base of operations game mode slash horde mode. Because Survival and Underground are at the base, it's a good possibility that Last Stand, it also occurs to me that Last Stand will be started at the base. So you can matchmake and start a game at the base. It'd be really cool if they did a defend the actual base of operations. You have multiple levels. You have the upstairs with the tech wing, you have the downstairs with the medical and the security wings, and then you have the terminal. Now if they turn that entire giant space into a horde mode, I think that that would be just the most insane thing ever. For where the underground and the terminal is, you could have AI or NPCs come up from the actual stairs underneath as if they're coming from the underground, and they would open up those stairs to where you could see them loading in from a train. So you could either plant a bomb and stop the train, or you can wait until they land and take them out as they enter into the base. My other idea is at the top of the base, they would come through where the generators are in the back, so that would be a pure sniping position. It also would be a sniping position because you could see the front of the base going down the stairs. Obviously the front of the base would be the main entry point, where AI or NPCs would roll up in cars, buses, flamethrower on their school buses, just insane. I think that Last Stand would be absolutely amazing if it had something like that. Now moving on to 1.6, which is the next thing that we have to look forward to. 1.6, in my opinion, will come out either right before March or right after March into April. Now my reasoning for this is because Ubisoft is a publisher of both The Division and Wildlands. Now if you're a publisher and you want to make the most amount of money, you're not going to have two big events go on at the same exact time. So what you would want to do is you would want to capitalize on them by either putting it right before, so people get 1.6, they're excited, but Wildlands is right around the corner. Okay, let's play 1.6, then let's get Wildlands. That would be a good idea. My other reasoning is right after Wildlands, people within a month to 2 months, people start to lose interest in a certain game, depending on how they feel about it. So within that 1 to 2 months after Wildlands is released, would probably be the best time for the division to release Last Stand. Now 1.6 they've already said is not that far off, so I would put 1.6 right before March. However, like I said, I would put Last Stand after March. Now 1.6 is not a PvE based update like 1.5 is. 1.6 is a pure PvP based update. There's a lot of issues with PvP right now. There's not very much build diversity. It's mainly just Alpha Bridge with a FAMAS as your secondary or your primary, and a Lavoa C or a M4 variant, the lightweight or the police. That is basically the go-to in this game right now. They have to do something in order to restore the balance to other gear sets. Now I understand that Alpha Bridge is the meta right now. However, take League of Legends for example. Every meta has a counter. The meta used to be Thresh and Sivir in the bot lane for support and attack damage carry. And then you would counter it using something like Braum, Caitlyn, or you would use something like Jinx and Blitzcrank. You would use something like that. In the division currently, Alpha Bridge, there is no counter to it. You can build a very, very strong flame turret or a very, very strong seeker mine build, but Alpha Bridge currently can build damage and tankiness, which really throws off the counterparts. Now, in my opinion, if they want to make PvP great again, there should always be a counter to this and a counter to that. So if you want to build Alpha Bridge or anything gun damage related, such as an ADC in League of Legends, you need to build either tank or a skill build, such as a support or a mage. So if we had an Alpha Bridge that had to build pure damage, that would mean that they are not so tanky, so you could really put them down with a skill build if you maximize in your skill powers, such as Seeker Mines or a Flame Turret. Or you could have a tank build, you could take up all the damage from an Alpha Bridge, so there would be counters. Now if you built a tank build, you would either be vulnerable to gun damage. As you built exotic damage resilience, you would be more susceptible to gun damage. Or if you built armor, you would be more susceptible to skill builds because you're missing exotic damage resilience. Skill players would be susceptible to gun damage, such as Alpha Bridge or anything that put out main gun damage, because they're mainly building skill power and not their armor or gun damage or tankiness. So they would be susceptible to main gun damage. So everything would have a triangle of counters. You would be able to have this as your gun damage, this as your tank, this as your skill build. You'd be able to look at a team of 4 and you would say, okay, he's the tank, he's the damage dealer, we need to kill the damage dealer, we need to take out the skill build in the back, then we need to focus down the tank. Our tank player needs to get in the front, and he needs to be on the front line drawing all the aggro from the enemy players, while our gun damage sits right behind him putting out the gun damage, and our support player sits in the back giving us constant healing abilities, and our skill build sits in the middle allowing him to be behind the tank as a shield and yet throw his Seeker Mines or his Flame Turret in front of the tank to deal the damage that he needs to deal. So there's this constant counter picking of each other, and right now the division does not have that. All it is gun damage, gun damage, gun damage. That's all it is. If you want to win any PvP battle easily, you build a tanky but yet damage dealing Alpha Bridge. And all you have to do for that is hit a minimum requirements in firearms to unlock all your talents and throw the rest in stamina. And it's very easy to get that with the right build. So there needs to be some countering to each other if the division wants to continue on a great path like they had before 1.5 in its PvP sense. Right now the PvP is what's holding this game back. PvE in this game right now is great. They have the scaling to group size rather than your world tier or the difficulty of the mission, which makes it perfect. The more players you have, the more challenging it should be because you have more damage and you have more heals. Whereas before, you couldn't really stack up because the AI or the NPC was extremely tanky and extremely powerful. They have a very balanced PvE build now on this game when 1.4 came out. Now 1.6 focuses on the PvP, and they need to do the same thing. They need to bring a balancing system to both. They also need to look at the enemy armor damage. They threw it in there. In my opinion, it works, but it's not perfect. It has a lot of bad parts about the enemy armor damage that can be exploited through the game mechanics. With enemy armor damage, I believe Striker should be the one that has the most enemy armor damage. Now, yes, Striker can get up to about 60%, 70%, but Alpha Bridge itself can get up to 55, 60% without even using Striker. So Striker needs to be the more enemy armor damage gear set and not Alpha Bridge. Alpha Bridge right now has enemy armor damage, so they can penetrate your armor extremely easy. They have a lot of gun DPS, and they're extremely tanky. Something has to go and become a balancing of all the gear sets in particular. So until we get that, right now we're just dealing with Alpha Bridge everywhere. 1.6 and the guys going to the ETF. I know Eker, Games with Weezer, Denty. I know a lot of people are going to that ETF, Like Butter included, and they're going to put on a great thing, and they're going to really help them get down to business and find out what needs to change in PvP to make it fun again and make it balanced. As soon as PvP is balanced and fun again, I believe the division will be gaining momentum in players and popularity. So that's it for my thoughts and expectations on 1.6. I know I didn't really go in depth. However, I feel there's a ton of videos that went in depth, so I wanted to make a brief video just explaining my thoughts on 1.6 and mainly Last Stand. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Go check out Upper Echelon Gamers and hit them with a like and subscribe. Follow them on Twitter and Facebook. And don't forget to let me know down in the comments below what you think of 1.6 and Last Stand. Let me know when you think it might come out, what you would like to see, what you're not really happy with right now that you would like to see them change. And I'll see you guys next time.